Welcome back. This is Daybreak, and thank you for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikader. This morning with me in studio is the former Law Society of Kenya President and Advocate, Eric Daure. Good morning.
Morning, Ayub. A
lot happening in the country.
Yes, it's too fast. I mean, it's an action thriller movie would not come anywhere close to where we are right now.
Yeah. Okay. A lot to talk about as well, including the process and the options available for the Deputy President, who is the man under siege following the tabling of the impeachment motion against him yesterday by Kibwezi West lawmaker Mwengi Mutuse. Ruth Kinyanjui is governance, economic and political commentator. Good morning, Ruth.
Good morning.
Lovely having you here on the broadcast.
Thank you.
And many thanks for gracing us with your presence here on the broadcast. We are still waiting for the presence of the two lawmakers who had confirmed that they will appear on the show, but as at now are not with us here in studio. Nonetheless, the show continues. First, let's begin with a look at the highlights of what's appearing on the front pages of the publications. The Daily Nation says, beginning of the end. After months of shadow boxing, the tabling of an impeachment motion against the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, and President William Ruto's loud silence ever since jetting back to the country from New York, where he attended the UN General Assembly, marks the beginning point of a political union that has been tested to the limits over the past 2 years. Will the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, survive the oncoming onslaught? And what are his options? First, Bonarais, beginning with you. Do you think he will survive?
I have a very interesting view on this motion. First of all, I think if you look at the motion as has been framed, it has very good grounds. And so it is likely to succeed. But also this motion is a case of the pot calling the kettle black. And why do I say so? Because if you look at all the grounds that have been put forth, to a certain extent, some grounds actually fall short. There are actually two principal grounds, the public utterances and the issues of violation of the law. Every other thing, I think, in my view, is just a repetition of that. Now, if you look at the public utterances with regard to the question of the country being a company, and that the resources will be allocated in the manner in which a company would be, those who invested a lot are getting a lot. If you look at it, I say that that is substantiated because the appointments that have been made so far predominantly have gone to the Kikuyu community and have gone to the Kalenjin community. If you look at the appointments that have been made in public offices, predominantly they have followed that manner. In fact, in KRA, you know that the court has even nullified that because of the skewed manner that it was done. So it is substantiated. But we have a problem. The small problem that we have is that it is the president who has made those appointments. And so I think that that motion perhaps should be amended so that it should read that the Deputy President made public appointments about an official policy of recruitment that ought not to have been made public. Now, if you come to the other issue, if there's violation of the Constitution in terms of not respecting the judiciary, there's a violation of national laws with regards to acquisition of property and other allegations that have been made there. Prima facie, looking at them without a response from the Deputy President, again, you almost feel like these ones are likely to be substantiated. But then again, when you read the language of the motion, it says that he appears to have acquired property that is inconsistent with his known sources of wealth. I say this is substantiated. And why is it substantiated? Let us look at the vetting that was done the second vetting that was done of the cabinet secretaries. We know of cabinet secretaries whose worth increased for more than 100 to 150 million. Yeah? That increase in their net worth is inconsistent with their known sources of income as salary for. So what I'm saying is that, and that's why I was saying it is a case of the pot calling the kettle black, is that the members of parliament, they already know what is going on. They already know each other. So in terms of substantiating, because the balance of proving this is a balance of convenience, a balance of probabilities. What you say, you know, it is a balance that is slower than the balance than proof beyond reasonable doubt.
Okay.
So these are things that everyone knows. But ultimately, the question is whether really this is a proper case for impeachment, or it is a question of settling political scores and egos.
Okay.
My view is that we have a parliament that is angry.
Okay.
We have an executive that is angry because of the Gen Z protests, because of the things that are going on, and because of the economic issues that the country is facing. And so therefore, somebody has to take the blame.
Thank you. Ruth, coming to you. Looking at the 10 grounds, of course, in the course of this broadcast, Eric and Ruth will be also getting to hear what some of the leadership in this country had said even before, including calling out judges of the Supreme Court, some calling for the suspension of the Constitution, the ethnic profiling of a judge of the High Court, George Odunga, and as well as the attacks against the judiciary starting this year, following the government's the government dissatisfied with, of course, rulings by the courts beginning 2024. But first, what do you make of this and the final tabling of the impeachment motion against the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, in your view?
Thank you, Ayub. I'll take it from a broader perspective as I narrow down. I'll look at first as Kenya as a sovereign a nation and how we've been at the center of peacekeeping in the continent. I can say in the continent because if you look at Kenya, they've been involved a lot in the peace in South Sudan, in the peace in Somalia, actually in the all-round peace, including whatever we have actually done to go as far as Haiti to bring peace. So outside there, Kenya is known as a peaceful nation. But inside, we have actually been unable to deal with our political issues. And that is why we look at other countries almost catching up with us, because we have not been progressive or growing good enough or in a proper trajectory as we should because of our political issue. When I look at the issue of Deputy President, is it something that could not, for example, have been dealt otherwise? Maybe yes, maybe no. But there could have been enough ground, for example, for reconciliation. We've seen Kenya being one of the reconciliatory nations. How we are able to reconcile other nations and not able to reconcile ourselves is where it's what really beats us, especially now that things have really been drawn from a tribal perspective. That notwithstanding, this year, especially the 2024, has been a rush year for Kenya. First, I'll take you back 3 weeks ago when we were, I think that we were analyzing the manifesto for Kenya Kwanza government when it came to power 2 years ago. And there are those promises that were made to Kenyans because for such a process, one of the things that we should look at is impact. What is the impact? What is not being said? Yes, we are focusing on the Deputy President right now, but what is not being said? First, if you look at the manifesto for Kenya Kwanza government for the last 2 years, a lot is pending and needs to be done. And there's a lot of catch-up that needs to be played because if you look at the better part of this year, economically, nothing much has really happened, and I'll tell you why. When you look at one of the things that maybe the government has not done so well its communication in terms of the things that they have been able to do, the things they have not been able to do, and the gaps. Beside us having, like, as a country, attended many forums, and where many external donors are willing to work with us as a country from an economic perspective to fill the gaps now in the promises of Kenya Kwanza. But one of the things that you can see that is being skipped in this from a governance perspective is accountability. And one of the things that leaders of this country have not done is being good in being accountable. No one wants to be accountable. No communication needs to be done. And that is a gap that traced what we saw in the month of June when it came to the Gen Z protests. If you look at the parliamentary processes, and I'll take you back to the Finance Bill 2024, the whole parliament voted for Finance Bill, or the majority voted for Finance Bill 2024, which really was so, I can call it impunitive to the common mwananchi, meaning it was so hard, assuming the economic hard times that we're already experiencing as a country. So, and that is where we saw common mwananchi now wants to come and ask for that accountability because it's not there. So when we look at the impeachment yesterday, it is still a parliamentary process. And if the motion, if the 291 MPs have already voted at the motion stage, you can imagine by the time resolution come back to the same house, it means that, and you can see the mood of the house also was speaking too much in terms of what needs to be done. So there's still a lot that needs to be done from an accountability perspective, but economic growth, what is happening? Just one, if you look at for example, the Finance Bill 2024, and even the motion that came after that by, in terms of appropriations that needed to be done after that. Out of like 191 billion of what was proposed, only 17 billion is going to development. So that is going to be on a standstill, and the country's on political temperatures.
Okay, when we get back from the break, Bwana Rais and Ruth here will expound further on this and why it appears there is the problem of the moral authority here, given if you put all the persons who were discussing that matter at the House yesterday, they were largely hell-bent on the immobilization of this constitution since its promulgation in 2010, and the many concerns that Kenyans are raising on healthcare, on education. Still now, the Teacher Service Commission this morning says there should be the reapplication of 46,000 intern teachers and the filling of those important slots, and what seems to be a priority for the public with regards to now the attention on the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, and the grounds that will be further explaining here on the broadcast, as yesterday put before the nation by the Kibwezi West lawmaker Mwengi Mutuse, who had tabled the impeachment motion against Rigathi Gachagua. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. We are back with more after the break. Stay tuned.